Hello and welcome to another edition of the NAG How-To series. I'm John Lofstock, Executive Director of the National Advisory Group and the Editor-in-Chief of C-Store Decisions Magazine. And I am very proud to be joined today by Sridhar Sudarsan, who is the Chief Technology Officer for SparkCognition based in Austin, Texas. SparkCognition is a really cool technology company that is utilizing AI, artificial intelligence, to kind of help retailers get a better handle on who their customers are and where they're going. And they will be a featured sponsor at our NAG conference in Austin. So we're happy about that. And we will actually be visiting their headquarters for a demonstration during our store tour. So with that, I'd like to welcome Sridhar. Hello, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me on this, John. Really appreciate you thinking of me for this podcast. And hello, everybody.
You are a very impressive guy in our conversation. Some of the things we're talking about just really is blowing my mind in terms of how you're able to understand the consumer better, kind of track what they're selling, and find new ways to sell them more stuff. So why don't we start by talking a little bit about what exactly is AI? You know, we hear that term a lot, but why don't you kind of give us the user-friendly version of what AI is?
Absolutely. You know, and that's a tough one to start with when you say user-friendly and perhaps a short answer. You know, there's so much you can define in AI, but it's an interesting sort of question. You know, just from a historical perspective, Alan Turing is generally credited as the father of this concept, so to speak, right? Back in about 72 plus years ago, he called AI as thinking machines, right? And essentially, if you fast forward 70 years to kind of where we are today, that whole definition and something very specific about that has evolved quite a bit, right? And so the way that I like to think about what artificial intelligence is I actually like to think about AI as being augmented intelligence versus artificial intelligence. What does that mean? It means that we're augmenting the human intelligence that is very specific and vast in certain areas. But the one thing that we as humans, have our limitations on in our thinking ability is the ability to process a vast amount of data at scale at all times. So let's say you're a surgeon. Well, a surgeon would be you're a heart surgeon, be more specific. Well, you'd be the best heart surgeon if you have amazing hand skills and all that, right? Because that's kind of what you're doing. But then also you're always dealing with all kinds of complex situations. Every minute, every second you're performing a surgery. Imagine if you knew every single research that was published, every single case that was handled, because you're not the only one handling cases. You would be able to make decisions instantaneously, which is really what you need. Now, that's the combination of what that human surgeon can do and be able to process, perceive, consume, process, infer, reason, and make a decision in that instance in time. That's what augmented intelligence or AI can do for you, right? Because machines can scale a lot faster, a lot better than humans can. And by the way, if you have a surgeon in New York who is performing, let's say 1,000 surgeries in a period of time, let's say a quarter or a month, versus a surgeon in a rural part of, a small town, and they're performing, 200 of those, you want everybody to be at the same level of quality. So this is why, it's about democratizing the information, democratizing not information, but the decision-making of the core information into kind of when you need it, how you need it. So to me, that's what augmented intelligence and AI is doing and is designed to do. And that's what the industry and the research and the academia are working together to get it to do.
That's fascinating. Does that include predictability? So it helps you kind of foresee something that could like all the different options of something that could happen?
Absolutely. Because if you think about what reasoning really means, that's what we're doing, right? We're taking all the different possibilities. We're predicting what is the best course of action to take. that will mitigate future risk, or that will provide you a better outcome for something that you want to do going in the future. Because if we are all part of a workflow of some sort, right? And in that workflow, everything that we are doing is impacting some steps in the future. So it could be a machine that is running and you want to catch the problem with the machine well before it becomes bad, right? Like, let's say you're driving a car and ideally you would like to stitch in time saves 9 type of an approach. So how do you catch the stitch in time, first of all, if there isn't even a tear? So that's kind of where the predictability, you go up the chain in value chain in terms of being able to determine kind of the best course that will impact the outcome in the future. So predictability is a key part of that.
This is it really is a fascinating retail tool. So how is this being implemented at retail? How can convenience stores or all retailers use AI to predict future sales, to get more out of each customer that's on the lot and understand them better?
Yeah, and I think that's a fascinating question, and there are many ways to answer that. I think there are many ways to apply a variety of AI technologies in retail. But maybe what I'll do is I'll just sort of tease a couple of them out, and then maybe just explain one or so a little bit more in depth, so it kind of brings the essence of how it works out as well. So, for example, you could, if you think about retail, one of the things that there are probably 3 things that you want, that every retailer wants to think about, right? Whether it's convenience stores or other kinds of retail. Number 1 is, how do I provide the best sort of experience for my customer? So you put the customer at the center of the universe, the person that is walking into the store. You want to give them the best experience, which means you want to give them the right products that they need. You want to make sure that the products are at the right price, they're in the right place, they're getting the best service, all of that good stuff. The second thing is you put the product in the center, so to speak. And how do you sort of make the product to be the best how do you match the product to a customer who doesn't know that they need that product? So how do you sort of put it in the right place, put it in the right, location, make sure that it is available so that, people can see it and all that good stuff. And the third thing is, obviously, you put your own store at the center, which means you put the retailer's business. Now, ultimately, the retailers are not nonprofits, and they're a business. So they're obviously trying to increase their profitability, increase their margins, gross margins, increase their sales. And then, obviously that will be a good, well-run business. So if you do that, in order to do that, ideally, if you knew every type of customer that is walking in, if you knew the types of things they needed, if you can service them, if you can provide them the best experience, you're gonna increase the per ticket price that your customer is spending, because everybody likes a delightful experience, and people are okay with spending where they're getting value for their money, whether it's good food in the store, whether it is good products, whether it's a clean store, whether it is a store where your employees are being very pleasant to them. And obviously the fact in a convenience store that matters the most to most customers is the speed of service, right? How quickly can I get in and get out, which is one of the big challenges, one of the big sort of expectations that customers have. So how do you sort of do all of that? That's where AI can be applied across this entire spectrum of things. How? Well, there's many ways, right? So it's all about sort of knowing, understanding, being able to take the actions and then responding. Some of these actions happen immediately. Some of these actions happen over a period of time because they're more strategic. You could be a less than 5 store owner, or you could be a 500 store owner or a 5,000 store owner. The general principles still apply exactly in the same way, right? The scale is a little bit different, but the principles apply. So as an example, you could potentially use weather data. Very simple example, right? Can I use weather data where I know the immediate weather around my store, and I'm actually putting products out there that people will buy, right? This is kind of the simple way of thinking about it, very basic way of thinking about it. If it's raining, I put a bunch of umbrellas out there, very likely somebody's going to buy it. But now if I take that to being, if we extend that to sort of more complex scenarios, because that's not, things are not as simple as that. So let's take camera and vision data. So for example, you have cameras in your store already. There's a lot of computer vision applications that are out there that use AI, including one that we as SparkCognition provide. And what you can do with camera data is you can understand where there's the concentration of heat map within your store. Where are people sort of spending more time as customers are coming in? And then obviously over a period of time or within a span of a day, by the hour of the day, you can determine where do you want to put more products or your higher margin products, for example. There could be things like, clean bathrooms. So for example, today, something as simple as clean bathrooms, there's obviously no camera in the bathroom, but at least there's cameras pointing on the aisleways where there are doors to the bathrooms. So today, most customers, they clean bathrooms based on, per hour, per 45 minutes, per 2 hours, whatever the case may be. But there might be a possibility for us to use our computer vision data to determine how many people are going in and out. And based on that, you trigger an actual alert for somebody to go clean the bathroom as needed. You take an example of, queuing of customers. So we have one of our computer vision applications allows you to determine, hey, if there are 5 people in line and the predicted wait time for the last person in that queue is going to be, let's say, more than 8 minutes or more than 5 minutes or more than 7 minutes, people are getting impatient, right? People are all trying to move in and out. Can I send an alert to somebody who isn't working in the back of the store to say, you know what, please go in and help the cashier right now and open up another register? Now that's immediate response. That's immediate sort of value. That's the kind of ability that the technology that we have can provide using the existing camera that you have in your store and providing an immediate alert to somebody and take an action. So these are examples of things that you can do with artificial intelligence. Obviously, you can set up a new product campaign, you can set up a new placement campaign, and you can get immediate responses and results to see whether or not they were effective. And the only thing constant in the markets is change, right? The only thing steadfast is change. So being able to run these kind of iterative approaches where you don't have to wait for weeks before you get all your sales data and you look at everything and so on. Now, it's all out there and you can see that. So that to me, and then of course the forecourt has a whole host of applications around safety, security, compliance, and productivity improvements there as well.
Good. I do want to talk about the forecourt in a minute, but looking at what you just mentioned on the in-store side of the business. Now, you can get reports. They have other ways of kind of figuring out or just looking at a camera to understand if the stores are backed up. But with AI, it sounds like you can get really granular and not just know that you sell a lot of pizza at 4 p.m. You can actually get a whole profile of each consumer that's purchasing pizza. It's not just a notch in a report. It's an actual picture of the customer, maybe tied to their loyalty program, really understanding who that customer is and who specifically the path that customer took in the store. Right? I mean, you can really get a digital mark or a digital footprint of your consumers by customer. That's fascinating. That's like a gold mine for C-stores.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can actually tell the path, right? You can almost create personas of people, of your customers visiting your store. So as a simple example, what we also can provide, we also do provide is the ability for you to map, let's say, your customers. So let's say you have 1,000 customers that came into your store. Now, first of all, that itself is not something that is available today, right? So we actually provide that data. You know how many people bought items, you just don't know how many people came into the store because let's be real, right? No retailer that I know of has people watching these cameras 24/7 and keeping count of all these different things insights that they want to have, because it's cost prohibitive and this is a tough labor market right now, right? So I think people are struggling just to keep the base labor available. So this is where the technology like AI really comes into handy. At a massive scale, it can, in a very cost-effective way, it can actually tell you the fact that there were 1,000 people that came into your store, right? Now, maybe not all of them were customers, but they came into your store. And out of those 1,000 people, so simple example of what that profiling of those customers or personas of those customers really means is that you can tell that, let's say that, just taking a very simple convenience store example, you can say that out of the 1,000 people that came into your store today, 20% of them went to the restroom first and went nowhere else, just left the store. 40% of them went to your food counter first, so very likely they came in for the food, right? 10% of them went straight to the cash register, which means that, you know, they probably either wanted cigarettes or you know, energy drink or whatever you had at your cash register, gum or something like that. And you know, and sorry, I lost track of what the percentage split was, but whatever was the remainder of the people, they went to the aisles first, which means they were looking for something there. So now you know exactly what that is, and then you know that, by the way, by day, by hour of day, by, you know, by minute of day. So that not only allows you to do immediate planning, but also strategic planning. So let's say now you look at it over a week, over a month, over a quarter, over a summer month, over a summer week. And now you can start sort of actually planning labor across your stores by saying, you know what, I have I have to be prepared. So back to your prediction point, I need to be prepared for, you know, these kind of labor. So I'd rather move a couple of my people. Today's problem is not about, you know, getting more people, because it's hard to do that, but it's about using the people that you have today, using the labor that the retailers have today in the best possible way. So to me, that's what this is providing you, and in a very cost-effective way.
And I would imagine you can tie it to whether the customer has a loyalty program.
Absolutely.
Whether your employee is trying to sign up customers for your new loyalty program, or whether they're doing suggestive selling, things like that. The possibilities are really endless, it looks like.
Absolutely.
Now, we had talked about this in some of our previous meetings. Now, you can tie that to the fuel pumps, and that was we are working on a study to kind of get a good feel for what electric vehicle customers are doing during their time where their car is charging. They have a half hour. What are they doing? Are they going in the store? Are they on their phone? Are they going for a walk? It'll be fascinating to find out what those people are doing. But if you're a gas customer, one of the holy grails of data or of opportunities in this industry has always been to convert the fuel customer into a C-store customer, 100% of the time. It's never going to be 100% of the time, but the numbers are not as good as you think. They could be a lot better. A large percentage of people who get fuel don't go into the convenience store. So it sounds like you can get a good picture of who they are and maybe what they're doing, and then incent them while they're there. We know you're on the lot. We know you're buying fuel right now. Here's a coupon, right? Is that all stuff you can do?
Absolutely. In fact, we are doing that now. So you're absolutely right. We're doing that at the forecourt today. We're doing it for obviously the traditional gas and fuel, but in this age of where we are in an energy transition environment where electric vehicle charging stations are being installed, or at least retailers are considering whether they should install. What's the ROI? How does that sort of change their mindset and so on? And in order to do that, there's two things to think about, right? If your gas forecourt is not doing well, why would your electric forecourt EV charging station do well? So to your point earlier, the first thing you want to understand is, well, how many people are coming to my gas pump? How many people are spending time? How many of them are coming inside the store? So we're giving our retailers all of that information already. Second, for those that do have, and that will help them decide whether or not an EV charging would make sense, right? Because ultimately it's based on the customers they have and the ones that they want to attract. The third, and then the profitability that they want to drive, gross margins they want to drive on each one of their sales. The third thing is on the EV charging. So for the ones that do have an EV charging facility, you're right. There's some differences between a person coming in for gas versus for EV. One of the biggest ones is the amount of time, right? Where it might take you 3 minutes to fill up a gas tank. It might take you, 15 to 20 minutes to do. That's like almost 5 to 7 times the time for you to charge your vehicle. And so what that means is now you have that 15 minutes of that customer time. How do you sort of find a way to attract them into the store? To your point, is there a very specific sort of campaign or promotion that you can offer? Is there just a simple greeting that you can have somebody go out when the store is not as busy? Can you go out and greet the person and offer them something? And, this ultimately, as I mentioned, it's technology augmenting humans. AI is artificial intelligence augmenting machine intelligence, augmenting human intelligence, augmenting machine intelligence, augmenting human intelligence. So it's a loop, right? So the technology said, hey, the store is not busy. There's a customer outside. Why don't you go out and greet them? You do that. Now you offer them a very specific, a promotion or a coupon that you think that they would, that they would benefit from. You bring them into the store. They look at the store. Now you provide a better experience because the technology has already sort of allowed you to do that. And now they're buying more. And so everybody's happy, right? The customer got, value. They got a good use of their time. Versus there might be other customers who are probably on the phone, while they're charging their vehicle and they don't want to be bothered. And that's okay too, right? It doesn't mean like you've got to go push every customer a promotion down a customer. I think we all have been subjected to, that. And I don't think all of us appreciate that. So it's being able to sort of be sensitive to the human need. But obviously, if the human doesn't know, they're not going to come into the store. So this is where it's a beautiful sort of collaboration. And you're right, John, I'm excited about this study that we're running together with you with a small number of retailers to understand, what kinds of actions would need to be taken. So the one thing to be mindful of in all of this AI conversations we've been having so far is, at least the way that I look at it, the way that we at SparkCognition look at it, we're not trying to provide more data, because I think the last thing the retailers need now is more data. They're being inundated with data, right? They're inundated with data
Everywhere.
Every single day, everywhere, and they just don't know what to do with it. And I empathize with them. So the way we think about our solution, the way that we are providing our AI advisor for convenience stores, is by only focusing on actions. Here's the action. And you can tune and tweak the actions that you want, and you have full control to do that. But it's all about taking all the information and providing you with action. So do it now, right? Or do it over your stores, or do it over a certain number of your stores, or here are your worst performing stores in a store chain of 50 or 100. And I think we've seen this very, very effectively. So we actually have our solution deployed in over 100,000 cameras in about 120,000 cameras in about 16 countries. Many of them are for forecourt retail. So we understand how this works at scale, and we understand sort of the value of the actions. And that's what we're really trying to bring to the retail market here as well in the US and in Europe.
Why the forecourt? What was the motivation to focus on the forecourt first? Safety?
It started with safety and compliance. But then it very quickly evolved into customer experience and obviously additional sales. So it started with that, we're all familiar with like a little incident. These are all highly inflammable sort of locations. Fortunately, touch wood, we haven't had as many incidents, but that is because of the kind of safety that has the safety and compliance rules and regulations that have evolved here over the last few decades. But it keeps changing, right? And that's why, it's always important to stay on top of things. Now, we also sometimes, you don't think about safety until you think about safety. You don't think about security until you think about security. So that's why as long as, something is always sort of monitoring and telling me that, hey, you know what, there's a problem, there's suspicious activity here, or there's a problem here, or there's a leak there, or there's a runoff here, or there's somebody who is, not swiping their card and they're stealing, there's loss. So that's where it started, but then very quickly it started coming into the store, and now we have the full experience. So the solution that we provide are actions that are for both the forecourt as well as the inside of the store.
Very cool. So what is the takeaway you want retailers to have from listening to you? What is their biggest opportunity? Where do you see this going in 3 to 5 years? If they invest, where would you expect them to be in terms of ROI, in terms of growing sales? Leave us with a few takeaways for today.
So I would say 3 things. Number one, this is not a cool technology that you should wait for 5 years because it'll be too late, right? It'll be 5 years too late. So this is here now. And this is not like a cool piece of technology in a lab that needs to be hardened. It is a hardened technology that has been, as I mentioned, deployed at scale, and you can get the value for that now. The way that we've built it, you can start deploying this within days. It doesn't take weeks or months or years to deploy. You can start seeing value within days. Like within a week is kind of what I'm talking about. Number two, the biggest value here is on managing labor. I think if I look at kind of one of the biggest challenges in the retail, especially in the convenience store, but it's true for all retail right now, is labor management and available. And when I say labor management, it's availability of labor, retention of labor, turnover, costs. It's the experience for your employees that you want to provide. And it's all of that, right? And it's being able to manage, use labor that you already have in the most efficient way. And to me, that's where the partnership for the use of AI technology, especially computer vision, with your employees becomes a very powerful combination. So can you manage, 100% of the store operations with 70% of labor that you have? And how do you do that most effectively? It's through the use of AI. And the third thing I would say is, yes, there are many applications that you're probably using. Very likely, they're all giving you a lot of data and you're getting inundated with it. So if you are one of those, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, is that you're just looking at so much data that you're looking at no data. And so what we have focused on is to focus on applications like the ones that we provide with our bundle, is focusing on actions. Can any of these applications give you immediate actions that you can take, that your store managers can take, that your area managers can take, that your cashiers can take, that your forecourt operators can take, that your food service manager can take, and do that, that your corporate offices can take, right, for across the different stores. That's what I think you want to focus on, because that will give you the best time to value. It'll give you the quickest time to iterate and to be prepared for the change that is constantly coming out there. So whether it's a recession related, inflation related, spend related, politically motivated, all of these are unfortunate realities of change that we're living in. And I think you want to be prepared for that without knowing all the different possibilities that are going to play out. So I think those would be the three key takeaways. And AI based applications are here now. And I think it's this convenience store industry is primed to be transformed, and it starts with every single store. And the quick turnaround, you're able to do this so quickly, is because you use existing cameras, right? That's very little, or if anything, needed to start using this. That's exactly right. You don't need any camera infrastructure. Our technology uses all the existing cameras that you already have. So if you have a store that has cameras, very likely you can start using our technology today. Excellent. So as I mentioned, Sridhar and I will be on a panel at the NAG conference in Austin, March 26th to the 29th. And during this panel, we're going to reveal the results of this I think it's a groundbreaking study on what electric vehicle customers are doing at convenience stores while their car is charging. So we'll have a real good understanding, a high-level executive summary of what these customers are doing. And then we're going to follow that up with an actual demonstration and tour of SparkCognition's Innovation Center, or what's the name of the Innovation Center? HyperWorks. Perfect. So I want to invite everybody to come join us. It's going to be a great conference and a great opportunity to learn more about this wonderful technology. So on behalf of Sridhar, I want to thank you again, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I hope you will listen to a future NAG How To Series podcast. Have a great day, everyone.